This conference will now be recorded.
Obesity is a state of excess adipose tissue mass, although often viewed as equivalent to increased body weight. But nowadays, obesity is defined or measured on the basis of BMI, that is weight in kg by height in centimeter square. So what is the normal body mass index? It's around 18.5 to 24.9. Overweight is 25 to 29.9. Obese is 30 to 39.9. Morbid obesity is more than 40. This is the classification what you see. Underweight is less than 18.5. Healthy weight, that is normal, that is 18.5 to 24.9. Overweight is 25 to 29.9. Obesity is 30 to 35. Grade 1. Grade 2 is 35 to 39. Extreme or morbid obesity is more than or equal to 40. There is one more specific cutoff for waist circumference. What we have to know is for Asians, normally for males it is more than 85 centimeters and women it is more than 90 centimeters. Now, other approaches to quantify obesity are anthropometry, that is skin fold thickness, densitometry, that is underwater weighing, CT, MRI, electrical impedance, other indices like lean mass index and fat percentage. Now, coming to the introduction, the distribution of adipose tissue is different autonomic deposits also has substantial implications for morbidity. This distinction is made clinically by waist hip ratio. Okay, if it is more than 0.9 in women, it's more significant. Okay, see the obesity. Usually in males, we'll have apple-shaped obesity. There is more visceral fat, high risk of weight-related health complications. But in it is pear shaped, that is less visceral fat, lower risk of weight-related health problems. Estimated that over 12% of the world adult population is obese. In India, it is almost 5 to 12% obese. One third of the adult population of US are obese. Okay, there are many things which play interplay and balance energy intake and energy expenditure. If there's an imbalance between these both, that can lead to obesity. Okay, the main gene which is responsible for it is a leptin gene. Leptin, this is a signal, and wherever the mutation occurs is shown in green. Okay, if any mutation occurs at the so and so area, that can lead to obesity. Okay, so leptin will act on leptin receptor signal, which cause increased POMC expression, which will increase alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone, which will increase melanocortin 4 receptor signal, and which will decrease the appetite. Okay, so mutation in these will cause obesity. This is the effect of usually leptin. They'll say leptin in a fed or obese state is increased and in a fasted state it decreased. This is the appetite center, which is basically located in the hypothalamus. Okay, there are few factors which control the appetite. Those factors which increase your appetite are neuropeptide Y, MCH, agouti-related peptide, orexin, endocannabinoids. Those which decrease are alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone, CART, GLP-1, and serotonin. Etiology of obesity, that is there are many things. One is lifestyle, psychological, medical, then genetic predisposition which lead to obesity. Increased calorie intake, that is availability or extra calorie intake. More sedentary lifestyle, that is people who sit for longer time in between computers or television, and more emphasis is given on academics, those will lead to obesity. Medical causes of obesity are Cushing's, hypothyroidism, insulinoma, craniopharyngioma, and other disorders involving hypothalamus and drug induced. Okay, these are few hereditary syndromes which are associated with obesity. Just have to know the names. Okay, those are Prader-Willi, Lawrence-Moon-Biddle, Alstom, Cohen's, and Carpenter's. The complications of obesity. Now coming to obesity leads to various complications. Many systems are involved. Okay, prominently involved is cardiovascular, which can lead to hypertension, congestive heart failure, cor pulmonale, varicose veins, pulmonary embolism, coronary disease. Okay, then coming to endocrine, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, dyslipidemia, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now, then coming to respiratory, which includes dyspnea, obstructive sleep apnea, hyperventilation syndrome, Pickwickian syndrome, asthma. Then GID, that is GERD, NASH, psoriasis, hernia, colon cancer. Now coming to musculoskeletal, that can lead to hyperuricemia and gout, osteoarthritis, mainly knee and hips because they are weight-bearing joints. Low back pain, carpal tunnel syndrome. Psychologically, it can lead to depression, low self-esteem, body image disturbance, social stigmatization. Okay, then your integument, there can be striae, stasis, pigmentation of legs, lymphedema, cellulitis, intertrigo, carbuncles, acanthosis nigricans, then skin tags, then hydrantitis suppurativa. Then coming to genitourinary, urinary stress incontinence, obesity-related glomerulopathy, hypogonadism, breast and uterine cancer, pregnancy-related complications. Now coming to neurological, there can be stroke, myalgia parastatica, dementia, idiopathic intracranial hypertension. Now coming to complications, as I told you, okay, as the duration passes, as the BMI increases, there can lead to many various complications, starting first with hypertriglycerides, then hypertension, then venous insufficiency or hyperuricemia, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, polylithiasis, carcinoma, syndrome, Pickwick syndromes, cardiac failure, and death. Now coming to management, first you have to focus on the possible complications by doing physical examination, then investigations, then other tests based on clinical features. That is, if there's any Cushing's to rule out Cushing's, if there's any hypothyroidism, or if there's any obstructive sleep apnea to do sleep studies. Okay, treatment aims mainly at prevention, diet, increased physical activity, behavioral modifications, medications, and then finally comes to surgery. Okay, now guideline to treatment. First, you see the I'm sorry. This one I'll tell you in the end. Okay. Usually it's not necessary also. Okay. This is the thing which is necessary for you people. A guide to opting for treatment for obesity. Based on your BMI, what are categories to be selected is seen. Okay. If your BMI is between 29 to 25 to 2.9, then diet, exercise, behavioral therapy is preferred if the patient is having comorbidities. If the BMI is between 27 to 29.9, if there is comorbidities, then it can be diet, exercise, behavioral therapy, and pharmacotherapy. Okay. Then coming to surgery, surgery is indicated only if the BMI is more than 35 in case of comorbidities and more than 40 kg per meter square. Okay, weight loss and management, it can be done by diet and nutrition, physical activity, modifications, pharmacotherapy. Now coming to behavior modification, self-monitoring of weight, stress management, and social support. The prime focus of diet therapy is to reduce overall calorie consumption. There are three types of diet, that is very low energy diets. That means 400 to 600 kilocalories per day is consumed. Then low calorie diet where more than 800 kilocalories per day is consumed. Very low fat diet, very low carbohydrate style diets. Then guidelines recommended that initiating treatment with a calorie deficit of 500 to 1000 kilocalories per day compared with the patient's habitual diet. Revised dietary reference intake for macronutrients released by the Institute of Medicine recommends that 45 to 65% of calories from carbohydrates, 20 to 35 from fats, 10 to 35% from protein. Daily fiber intake of 38 grams for men and 25 grams for women for persons over 50 years of age, and 30 grams for men and 21 grams for women for those under 50 years of age. Low carbohydrate, high protein diets appear to be more effective in lowering BMI. Improving coronary heart disease risk factors, including increase in HDL and decrease in triglycerides. Controlling satiety in short term compared with low fat diets. Occasionally, very low calorie diets are prescribed as a form of aggressive diet therapy. The primary purpose of these is to promote rapid and significant weight loss, that is 13 to 23 kgs, that is short term weight loss over 3 to 6 months period. These proprietary formulas typically supply 800 kilocalories, 50 to 80 grams proteins, and 100% of recommended daily intake of vitamins and minerals. Complications of weight loss. Rapid weight loss creates physical demands of the body. There are serious complications which includes dehydration, gallstones, malnutrition, electrolyte imbalance, and other side effects which includes headache, irritability, fatigue, dizziness, constipation, menstrual irregularities, hair loss. Now coming to exercise, energy expenditure is the most obvious mechanism for an effect of exercise. Exercise appears to be a valuable means to sustain diet therapy, valuable in the obese individuals for those who has effects on cardiovascular tone and blood pressure. Pharmacotherapy, it's recommended only when BMI is more than 27 with comorbidities or BMI more than 30. The facts are drugs alone cause modest weight loss. Diet with drugs improve efficacy. Effects maintained for duration of time only. Long-term safety data not available. Now, medications for obesity have traditionally fallen into two major categories. One is appetite suppressant, one is gastrointestinal fat blockers. Appetite suppressants are called anorexant, and gastrointestinal fat blocker, only one drug is there, that is orlistat. Centrally acting anorexin medications. Anorexins increase satiety and decrease hunger. These agents help patients reduce calorie intake without a sense of deprivation. Targets the ventromedial and lateral hypothalamus. Example, it includes phentermine and topiramate combination. There's one more thing called locazarine, which is a selective 5-HT2C receptor agonist. Okay, this also help in centrally acting manner. Then periphery acting medications are orlistat is a synthetic hydrogenated derivative of a naturally occurring lipase inhibitors. Lipostatin, a potent, always reversible inhibitor of pancreatic gastric carboxylase ester lipase and phospholipase A2, required for hydrolysis of dietary fat into fatty acids, acts in the lumen of the stomach and small intestine, blocks the digestion and absorption of 30% of fat. Whatever drugs which are in development are bupropion, naltrexone, and in diabetic liraglutide. Indications for surgery are more than 35 kg per meter square BMI associated with comorbidities, or more than 40 kg per meter square BMI irrespective of the comorbidities. Repeated failure of other therapeutic approaches, capability of tolerating surgery. Weight loss surgeries have traditionally been classified into three. One is restrictive malabsorptive, one is malabsorptive. Clinical benefits of bariatric surgery in achieving weight loss and alleviating metabolic complications have been attributed largely to changes in psychological response of gut hormones and adipose tissue metabolism. Okay, restrictive surgeries, basically the mechanism of action is to restrict the amount of food that stomach can hold and slow the rate of gastric emptying. Malabsorptive surgeries reduce the amount of absorption. The examples includes for both, that is laparoscopic gastric gastric banding, Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, biliopancreatic diversion with duodenal switch, biliopancreatic diversion with vertical banded gastroplasty, and simply biliopancreatic diversion. This whatever you see is gastric sleeve. That is, they cut a small amount of stomach predominantly over the greater curvature and leave the lesser curvature. This is via these the food will pass. One more is gastric bypass. That means the stomach is bypassed. I mean, the entire portion of the stomach is removed, and duodenum is attached to the jejunum. This is duodenal switch. Okay, the greater curvature is removed, and here the stomach is attached to the duodenum. This is the same thing, gastric sleeve. That is, sleeve of gastric portion is removed. This is the excess part of the stomach. This is laparoscopic assisted gastric. This is Roux-en-Y. That means the gastric pouch is created, which is attached to the jejunum. The duodenum is bypassed. Same thing with pictures. These produce generally about 30 to 35% average total body weight loss that is maintained in nearly 65% of patients at 5 years. Significant improvement in multiple obesity-related comorbidities conditions, which includes type 2 diabetes, hypertension, dyslipidemia, obstructive sleep apnea, quality of life, and long-term cardiovascular complications. The most common surgical complication includes stromal stenosis and marginal ulcers. These patients usually present with recurrent episodes of vomiting, weight loss, they have nausea, they have anorexia. Usually, there'll be weight loss following surgery, but these people will have a lot of weight loss. That is, around 50% of the weight will be lost. So, how to treat this is to dilate the stromal or usage of PPIs, proton pump inhibitors. The restrictive malabsorptive procedures carried an increased risk for micronutrient deficiencies like vitamin B12, iron, folate, calcium, and vitamin D. So all these supplementations are necessary. Okay, some of the complications. Some bariatric surgery risks include acid reflux, anesthesia-related risk, chronic nausea and vomiting, dilatation of esophagus, inability to eat certain foods, infection, obstructive of stomach, weight gain, or failure to lose weight. A long-term includes dumping syndrome, dizziness, low blood sugar, malnutrition, vomiting, ulcers, bowel obstruction, hernias. So this is in short regarding obesity. So next class, as I have told you, you people will start the class. Okay. So by 9:15, we'll join and we'll start the class by 9:30. Just half an hour presentation is enough, around 25 to 30 slides.